SpectreVision Radio.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to A Funny Feeling Podcast. I'm Betsy Sidaro.
And I'm Marcy Jarrow. This is a podcast where comedians tell us their paranormal experiences, and we listen to yours as well.
Oh, yeah. And if you have one of these paranormal experiences that you want to share with us, please email it to us at funnyfeelingpod@gmail.com.
Now get cozy.
And prepare yourself to be scared silly.
This is a Funny Feeling Podcast.
Where's your view?
Woo, 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 woo.
Wow.
Woo, woo,
Betsy.
wow. Marcy.
Look, it's getting hot in LA,
Ugh.
which means it's getting closer to summer, which means it's getting closer to fall, which means it's getting closer to Halloween.
There we go. Dude, this year is like, which one? It's Salem's like 400th year birthday or something. Maybe 600.
Oh.
Salem.
Either 6, 4, 5, or
So
9.
one of those. It's like the 400th birthday, I think, or something. Which I want to go.
Hey, we always say we're going to go somewhere, and I think we should just finally pull the trigger and make it happen.
We got to. I want to go to Salem so bad. It's so
gotta.
cool. It's so cool.
Me too.
Come on. Yeah,
Well,
it's hot as shit out.
It's hot as shit out. I have not had anything particularly spooky happening, but I think you have a little.
I sent you a little voice memo. I was visiting my sister and her kids this week in Colorado. They're right outside of Denver, towards the mountains. And we were just hanging out, and we got on the subject of ghosts. I don't know why. I can't remember why. We were like playing a game. We were playing loaded questions, and maybe I answered something was like a ghost or whatever. And she was like, "Oh, this house is haunted." And me and her kids were like, "Wait, what?" And she's like, Yeah, I thought I've told you about it. I've told the girls. But she's like, in my room, I have a ghost light. And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "I have a ghost light that if it gets clicked on, it's attached to like the fan. You know, one of those lights where it's like it runs the fan and the light." And she's like, "But you could turn it on and the light will not be on, but then in the middle of the night I'll wake up and the light is on." And I was like,
That
"Oh,
is awful too.
isn't that
'Cause
awful?"
That's awful.
Yeah,
Like
and
the
she's
light
like, "I
just
don't
turns on in the
even."
middle of the night.
Yeah, and she's like, "I don't even use the fan, but the girls will sometimes switch it on just when they're like turning on every light."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wait, what?" And she was like, "Yeah, and it comes on at really weird times. Like, it'll flip. It's like really strange." And she's like, "I call it the ghost light. It's been ever since we moved here, which is probably like 11 or 12 years ago." She's like, "It's the ghost light." And I was like, "Let's go talk to it right now." And one niece was like, "Yeah!" And the other niece was like, "I guess so." And so we like run upstairs and we turn it on, and immediately stuff starts happening with the light to the point
Wow.
where we'll let Katie talk about it more because we're going to get her on, my sister.
Yes.
But where at one point Katie was like straight up like, "Are we communicating with you right now?" And it like started really freaking out. And we were like asking it questions and it would answer through the light. And the whole time Katie was like, I've never felt scared from it. I've never felt
Yeah.
like it was anything bad. She's like, "I just keep it off." So, isn't that nuts? And we were like
And
talking to something.
that's so cool. And I was like, well, you have a ghost lamp.
And I have a ghost lamp. And I told Katie about that. I was like, "I have a lamp that goes nuts all the time, to where I'll even yell at it to stop and it'll stop."
Whoa. Siblings with ghost lights.
Siblings
and lamps.
with ghost lights. When I asked, I was like, "Did this start after our mom died?" And she's like, no, it's been going on for a long time. Because she
Okay.
was like, we were asking, we're like, Mom, is that you? But then nothing would happen. We're like, okay.
Well, good to know that it's not trying to fake anyone out, too.
That's very true. It seems pretty chill. It seems pretty chill. And I made sure to be like, okay, everybody, let's say, hey, you could be here. Just please don't bother us. Like, please don't scare us. And it was so cute. My nieces were like, hey, it's okay to be here, but please do not bother us in the bathroom. Like, it was really cute.
Oh, they got that from you, I assume.
Yeah. I also taught them the phrase over the shoulder boulder holder. And they were saying it left and right, where my sister was like, Betsy, what did you do? I also taught them a couple of trips ago, like exploding the toilet. I'm going to go and they've been saying that. And she's like, Betsy,
you're actually
stop.
making
like,
it harder for me to parent.
Yeah. Sorry.
Sorry.
They can only, they can only say it around me, huh?
I guess I'll have to teach him diarrhea cha-cha-cha next time.
Marcy, they already know that one.
Oh, good. Diarrhea,
don't worry.
Cha-cha-cha.
They already know that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was so there was a little bit of spooky in the house.
A little bit of spooky. And we all need a little bit of spooky.
Just a little bit of spooky. Yeah, I sent you a voice memo of what was going on.
Also, something I think was haunting your mic too.
My mic.
You sounded like you were in a cave.
Yes. I sent Mono one a couple of months ago, and he was like, you sound underwater. Something's wrong with my microphone on my phone.
You know,
I
what do you
dropped
do?
I don't have
Does
a
it
case.
do that on phone calls?
I don't know. Nobody's ever. I usually, when I take phone calls, I have headphones in. So I don't think so.
Probably the headphones will bypass that. But it would be funny if you've had every business call you've had for years. It's like you being like, yeah, I really think we got to get those contracts signed.
I did have one yesterday where through my phone, I wonder if it was like, what the fuck is going on?
They're like, maybe she's doing stuff.
We know you're in Colorado. Are you in a cave or underwater in Colorado?
Did a mountain lion drag you back to its lair or something? Well, that's a really good story. And I can't wait to talk to your sister.
Yeah, we'll get Katie on. She immediately was like, can I come? I was like, this is so cool. I can't wait to tell Marcy. And I was like, she was like, can I come on? I was like, of course you can come on. It'd be so fun. It'll be so fun to have her.
Look, we love nepotism on this podcast.
We love nepotism.
Yeah.
We got it.
My nephew wants to come on sometime. And I was like,
yes, absolutely. That's what this is all about.
Us having our families on.
Marcy, with my sister, saw the new Spooky Undertone, which is about a podcaster who has a podcast where they hear people's spooky stories. And let's just say they get somebody sending them an email that unleashes something gnarly. It was fun.
Guys, this is a reminder. Please do send us your stories to funnyfeelingpod@gmail.com. You're not con, com.
Not con,
but also,
not com. Com.
Not com, not cum, not not cop.
Not cop. Come on, not cot.
funnyfeelingpod@gmail.com. But don't send us anything that's going to curse us.
No, we don't want that. We don't want that.
No,
we don't want that.
Do you know what's so funny? Like every show that I've worked on, which not so many, but they have been so opposed to doing podcast storylines.
Oh, funny.
And it's like, it's just such a big part of our, my reality. But I think everyone, like, I don't know a lot of people who don't listen to podcasts at all.
Right.
But it's so funny to be like, I guess they thought it was like a kind of like, oh, that's too like, it's just like a trend. It's like, no, but it's like, yes,
here.
It would be like, like being like, I'm not going to do something about a radio station. It's like,
yes, right. Like, well,
it's real reality.
It's really happening.
Anyway, I I need to go see more movies too. I just need to be out in this world a little more. I got to be more
out
up
a
on the
little
pop
bit
culture.
more. Come on. Just a little
Well,
bit more.
part of the pop culture is an email that we got, so I'm gonna read an
Yeah,
email.
read it.
This one is titled "Another Dream: Premonition as to Who I Will Marry."
Oh,
Fun, a little like, mash,
whoa.
do mash thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, Betsy and Marcy. I have been a longtime listener, and I've been hearing you guys talk to folks and read stories about weird dreams. Mine might blow your mind or make you shit your pants.
What? Either way, bring it
Either way,
on.
let's have something on the floor after this.
Or ceiling.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But honestly, if
Both.
I want it on both. I either want it to shoot me up or drip down. Anyway, since I was about 8 or 9, I have had dreams about getting married. I actually walk down an aisle and see the back of the groom. He is taller than me and has long, well-combed brown hair. I wasn't one of those kids always thinking about marriage at 8 years old. I wasn't one of those. Okay. In fact, by the time I was a teen, I was so far from thinking about it. I had this dream a lot, though, throughout the years. I went out of my way to date guys that had different hair than what was in my dream. Oh my God, that's so
Yes,
funny to be
that's
like,
so funny.
I would say out loud, suck it, universe, not gonna happen. Ha. I continued to have the dream throughout my early 20s. One thing changed. The groom would turn his head and look at me. All I saw was a cloudy face, but I remember seeing the part in his hair. For some reason, I woke up screaming after this change in the dream.
Funny.
That's really funny. I told the then boyfriend about the dream. He didn't seem happy to think I would get he didn't seem happy to think I wanted to get married. I told him, don't worry, the guy in the dream has different hair. That's so funny.
That is so funny.
Well, don't worry, it's not you.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll never get married.
Grow up. We are not together anymore. About 2 years later, my friend introduced me to a couple of guys. Yes, one of those guys had long brown hair and the same part in his hair as the guy in my dream. At the time, the dream really didn't hit me until a few weeks into us dating. One morning, I had a cup of coffee in my hand and stopped dead in my tracks and dropped it on the floor. I thought about the dream and it all came flooding in my head. I married the guy 4 years later. He wanted to cut his hair before the wedding and I refused to let him. I wanted the dream to play out. Of course it did. 30 years later, here we are.
Oh,
we
that's
also
awesome.
We also share a birthday. Yes. Whoa. Don't shit your pants. Michele, Seattle.
Michele,
my
that
God.
is rad.
That is. That is so cool.
Wow.
And 30 years.
30 years. That is so awesome.
That is so cool. I love this so much, Michele.
I like Michele, like, being like, no, universe. But then as soon as she meets him, being like, okay, universe, you better not cut your hair or else universe is going to be mad. Like, that's so great of just like, oh, that's so funny.
That's so
That's
funny.
cool.
Also, I love that you were, I mean, I like it when anyone is not obsessed with marriage because I think that it is a thing that women are so forced into, thinking they like that their lives won't be complete if it doesn't happen. So I like younger Michele being like, nah, I'm not. You're not. That's not the point of this whole thing.
Yes, that is so nice. Wow,
it found you anyway.
Gotcha. You can't escape.
Yeah.
The universe.
Hopefully you like that you're married. I'm going to put that out there that you're like,
I think with 30 years later, that's a good sign of like.
It's a good indicator.
It's a good indicator that Michelle's pretty stoked to be married.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I love that.
Okay, I got one, Marcy. You ready?
Okay.
FF Pod incepted a spooky story into my dreams. Yes. Hello,
As a pod.
lovelies. I fell asleep while listening to the pod and dreamt I was at a dinner party hosted by you. Marcy did a toast, then Betsy introduced the pod and let us know that we'd be live recording a listener ep with the stories coming from the party guests. Hey, that's pretty fun.
That's a good idea.
Uh-oh. As Betsy turned for me to begin, the dream shifted into a nightmare. Oh, no. This could be a movie.
What? That happens to me when I'm with Betsy, too.
Yeah, get ready. I was at the back of my house and had the front window cracked. Over the soft patter of rain, I could hear deep, sorrowful sobs coming from the open window. I turned to see a small child, gross, like figure. Sorry, I stopped at child because that grossed me out. I turned to see a small childlike figure standing outside with her back towards the window. Still gross. I immediately get that funny feeling that comes when in the presence of the supernatural. I call out to the little girl with no response. As I approach, I see she's barefoot and wearing a handmade burlap dress. I kneel next to her, my head level with her shoulder, and ask again if she's all right. She stops sobbing and turns her head slowly towards me. Oh, I realize in horror that her eyes and mouth are swollen shut. Ew! She arranges her features in a way that conveys that she's not to be bothered and would like to get back to what she was doing. I slowly stand as she starts to turn her face away from me again. The light catches on her face and I see stitches on her mouth that quickly vanish. I go back inside and ask if anyone else can see the girl in the window. Their confused faces let me know exactly what I'll see when I turn around. I look towards the window one last time, and she's gone. I wake up to pouring rain and Betsy on the podcast saying, and if you have one of these paranormal experiences that you want to share with us, please email it to us at funnyfeelingpod@gmail.com. So that's exactly what I did. Stay spooky and fuck ice, Vanessa, they, them. Yeah. Whoa. I wonder if, were we reading a story about, as they were falling asleep and listening, were we reading a creepy story about a little kid or something?
Possibly.
I don't know.
I mean, that's because we don't know what episode they were listening to, but also just getting in the mix, being like, I gotta get in the mix. The mouth sewn shut. It makes me think that it was like a corpse, when before they bury them, they sew their eyes and mouth shut.
Ew, Marcy.
I didn't think of it. I mean, I thought of it, but I didn't invent it.
I think you did. Ew, yeah, swollen shut. And then
the
sewn
eyes,
where it's like, what happened to this little kid thing?
little kid thing? Little kid thing.
Little kid thing. Yuck.
Yuck.
Yuck. That's a big yuck.
Ugh.
Wow. Good.
That was a good one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
Thank you for sending it.
Subliminal, not very subliminal messaging coming from us constantly being like, please send it. We can't do this anymore.
We can't do this. All right. Shall we play one?
Yeah.
A listener story?
Let's do
All right. Here we go. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Okay, so I don't usually make voice memos, but I am currently waiting for my son to get done with his soccer practice, so I got the time. And quite frankly, you've been begging for listener stories, so I figured now's my chance.
Yeah!
So I would like to tell you a few stories about my dog, Lula. She's passed now, but she was my bitch. She was kind of like Bo, but in dog form. She was a pit bull. I got her from the Humane Society, and she was just really there for me through a lot of rough stuff. So, anyway, when I first got her, I was living in an apartment on campus at Clemson University, and she was a puppy. She was about 6 months old still, so she definitely had puppy in her still. But I lived in the back room that had an entrance to the bathroom, but that bathroom also had an entrance through the hallway. So I had my own door to this one bathroom. So anyway, I was moving in to this apartment and to this room and getting all my stuff out of boxes and whatever. And she's just hanging out with me in the room. And she looks over at the bathroom door and she gets up and her hair on her back is all standing up. And she is just like low growling into this dark bathroom. I was under the impression that I was home alone in this apartment. My roommates were gone. So to see her, kind of excited about going into the bathroom was new. So kind of got a little nervous, and I look into the bathroom and I, do that thing from every horror movie where you look at the shower curtain and you pull it back and you think that you're going to see someone with a knife or something like that. But I pull back the shower curtain and nobody's in the bathroom, and I'm like, okay, well, that's super spooky. Let's get out of here. Yes. So we left the room. There are a couple other times where we saw, like, just out of the corner of your eye, saw somebody walking at the end of the hallway, but, nothing ever else really happened there. So that was one instance where that was kind of spooky. Another story about Lula was when I graduated college. I moved back home, and just for a couple months before I found my big girl job. And my dad was not so much a fan of having animals in the house. He just didn't grow up with animals, so he just didn't really have them in the house. He tolerated her being in the house because he loves me, but it wasn't his first choice to have a dog in the house. So one day, I was on my way to work. I had 2 jobs at the time, so in between my first job and my second job, I decided that I was going to take a nap. So I take Lula upstairs, and we lay down for a nap, and, I'm probably sleeping about 45 minutes or so, and then Lula jumps out of bed, and she starts barking, and she's got that pit bull bark where it's like low, and like even when she's playing, if she's barking, it sounds like she's gonna hurt somebody. But she definitely has a certain bark that when she is scared or protecting me, that I can tell she means business. So she jumps out of bed and she starts barking, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to be at work in like 30 minutes. If you could just lay back down and go to sleep, that would be great. So eventually I get her to calm down and, go back to sleep, and she gets into bed and she lays back down. A couple minutes later, my brother comes upstairs and he's like, hey, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm taking a nap. What do you need? And he's like, okay, well, someone must have tried to get into the house because the glass in the front door is smashed. Like, are you sure you're okay? And I'm like, yeah. Come to think of it, Lula did get up out of bed and start barking like she was going to murder someone. So I'm pretty sure she probably scared away whoever was, the ne'er-do-well down there in the dining room. So he was like, okay, well, that's good. So later on, my dad gets home and, we tell him about Lula and about how she barked and scared away the robbers and whatever. And he was like, reluctantly, he looks down at her and he's like, good dog. So from then on, they were good friends, and he would sneak her a bone here and there. So they got along well. So, that might not be like ghost spooky, but it was definitely scary at the time. But good to know that my dog has my back. So she's kind of saved the day. That was great. So the last story I have of Lula is when I graduated, I was dating this guy. He was a bit of an alcoholic, and the kind of alcoholic where it's like, you need help, and I can't help you. But at the end of that relationship, things kind of definitely went sour, and it was like every time we hung out, he would get excessively drunk, and I would feel a certain way about it. And I don't know if Lula was just reacting to the fact that my attitude changed, or if it was that she could sense something in the house. But at his house, his being his mother's house, at his mother's house, there was one room, his room in her house, that she just did not like to go into. Like, I would walk her down the hall and she would just sit down, and I'd have to like pull her into the room. So she was not a fan of this room. But one day we were taking a nap. I like naps.
Woo, yeah.
So we were taking a nap in his room, and I'm sleeping on my back with my feet, pointing up, and I have a blanket on over my feet. So I'm sleeping, I'm conscious, but my eyes are closed, and all of a sudden I feel someone pick up the corner of the blanket and like flip it up off of my feet. Enough so that my feet are no longer covered by this blanket. And I know I didn't kick them off, and I know Lula didn't kick them off because she was asleep by my head.
Oh,
so I open my eyes and I look and see, what's going on with this blanket. And when I open my eyes, I also see the blinds to my left with the cord, and the cord is swinging. Now again, there's nobody in the room. There's no vent or anything that's moving this cord. It's just moving. But the problem is, it was swinging, but it goes swing, swing, pause. Swing, swing, pause.
Wow.
And then it stops altogether. So I'm like, well, that's strange. So yeah, that was strange and spooky and weird. But I look at Lula and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why didn't you wake me up for that? You bark at a bathroom that has nobody in it. But there's obviously something in this room, and you didn't wake me up. So yeah, that was strange. So Lula did not save the day that day.
Oh.
Either way, she was a great dog, and she kept me safe from both real-world scary things and the paranormal scary things. So yeah, this is already a little long, so that's all for now. I do have a couple stories about some premonition dreams that I've had, but that's a voice memo for another day. Okay, bye.
Yeah, Lula!
Lula! Look at Lula!
Oh, yeah, I gotta see Lula.
Oh,
Lula's perfect!
she's so cute.
Oh, what a pet,
Let's see.
Lula.
You look at this one.
Yes, more.
Oh,
Oh, what a happy dog.
She's also
perfect.
maybe Lula's discerning and can tell when it's like, this is when you need to be, awake, and this is when you don't. Like, this is just a ghost.
Right.
There's a foot fetish ghost.
Just let him look at your feet.
Let him look at your feet.
And swing the blinds cord, and you'll be okay. You'll be all right.
But also so scary to have something like we say it all the time, but like someone trying to break in. Oh no.
Oh my gosh. So scary.
It is.
We've talked about this of like, dogs are just animals. Dogs are just it's so nuts to be like, how did you, like, I feel like Wilma knows when Gilly has like parked her car almost, and like she will be up and waiting and like ready for like 5 minutes, and then Gilly will show up and it's like, what? How'd you know?
And they say that dogs, like, that they say, I don't know who they is, but that like someone was like testing it, and they like had a camera and they could see, they were like on their way home, and their dog like got ready and stood by the door. And then at the last minute, they decided to go run and get gas before they went home. So they turned around, and the dog went back and laid down, and then got up again when they were on their way.
That is so wild.
My cats might know, but they're just like, we don't care.
We don't care.
But it is funny because sometimes they'll be like waiting in the window for me.
Yeah.
But because my garage is under my house, and my neighbor who lives up the hill, we share our garage. Like, we share my garage. And so they don't do it when she gets home.
Yeah. They can smell us. They know what we smell like.
Yeah.
All this stuff. Huh, Wilma? Freak?
I guess I wouldn't. Maybe I wouldn't know if they don't do it if I'm not home.
Right. They might still look and be like, oh, that's not Marcy.
No, that's the other lady.
That's the other lady. Come on.
She never gives us food.
Yeah. So we don't care.
We don't care about her. We only care about food.
Lula. What a good
Lula's
dog.
was a good dog. I love Lula.
And especially, yeah, like during those like college, just what a time in your life, and to have a nice, stable companion throughout, like, because your 20s can be nutty, like really fun, but also a lot of change and a lot of like not consistency for a while can happen.
And just think how hard it is to move out on your own as like, I mean, like, not to infantilize people in their early 20s, but you're still really young and like don't know what the world could have in store for you and how many people are kind of weirdos and like like this is such a stupid thing, but on TikTok people will do their little like they'll show you like, oh, something crazy is happening on the street below.
Okay.
And then people in the comments are like, yeah, I know exactly where you live now. You live here.
What? Of course.
And like, that's fine. Everyone lives in some house. Like every house you go by has a person living in it. So if you wanted to do harm by someone, but for like people who are like influencers who might have some parasocial relationships coming from their audience, it can get spookier.
Oh, that's very spooky. That's
I feel like
real world spooky.
Yeah, I do feel lucky that like I'm up in the hills and there's nothing like unless you know what a specific tree looks like. I mean, I'm not posting content like that anyway, but like there's no like kind of landmarky things.
Right.
But people just, you don't know who's a weirdo out there.
Spooky.
Also, like in this heat wave, I've wanted to like sleep with my window open. Then I'm like,
oh yeah.
You kind of can't, though.
I know.
You kind of can't. And yeah, you kind of can't.
Right.
Mostly because a bobcat could come on in.
Right. Do you have a screen and stuff, though? Or?
Yeah, but screens are easy enough to, like, cut.
Oh, yeah. Can you open it at to one certain spot and still have it locked? That's what our windows can do. So you can open it a little bit, but still, if anybody were to try, it would be like, you can't get in.
I could probably put like a bar in there.
Oh, yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. Danger. Anyway, danger, guys.
Danger,
it's all around
everyone.
us.
Just laughing.
It's all around us.
Have fun.
I mean, truly, one of my favorite guys is this guy. Is it Mr. Cliff Tan? And he does like feng shui for people. So, or like, it's like an apartment, like design, not design, but he does layouts, which honestly, I don't think they're not always looking great because they are about feng shui.
Yes.
Like it'll be like, put a curtain up in the middle of your room. It's like,
yes, right.
That's But he's funny because people will show all these videos of like, I can't figure out how to put my bed in the studio. And then he's like, in this building, I found the layout of this building. You're on the 16th floor. And he's like, anyway, like he kind of does it to be like, you gave so much personal information out.
Right. Whoa.
So anyway, everyone be on high alert all the time. Hope it's a ghost in your house.
Good lesson.
What's going on? All right, let me stop my paranoia. Okay, this one is Haunted Realtor Open House.
Cool.
Honestly, that's a really scary idea.
That's a great idea.
Like a realtor.
I like that.
Betsy, let's say we're going to write something and never get around to it. Hi, Marcy and Betsy. My name is Dawn, and I'm a regular listener to your podcast.
Woo.
I listen to it while I'm driving, and it really helps pass the time.
Good.
Yes.
That rules.
Good. Let's get you out on the road. My experience was as a rather new realtor in 2009. New realtors help out more established brokers by, quote, sitting in, quote, their open houses for them and hopefully picking up buyers. Oh yeah. So it's probably just like on a weekend, just sitting in a house all day long.
Yes.
I did exactly that one snowy February Sunday. Had never been to the home. It wasn't my listing. I'll preface all of this by saying I don't drink or do drugs or take any medication that might cause hallucinations. Good to know.
All right.
I do all of that. However, as I was letting myself in, I clearly saw in my mind a gurney crossing the threshold. Weird, but I went in. Very nice townhome in an upscale Boy, I should be able to say this word, Betsy. Wait till you hear what I'm stumbling over.
Oh, no.
In an upscale Chicago suburb.
Chicago. Yeah.
Not very old. Chicago. Chicago suburb, not very old. As I was not familiar with the house, I set out the brochures and then did a walkthrough. I sensed something was off, that there was something there, but being alone in a house you're unfamiliar with can be off-putting at first.
Yeah.
However, when I went upstairs to the bedrooms, there was a room that must have been used as a playroom/guest room for what I now know was grandchildren. Very clearly in my mind at the entrance to the room, you can't go in here.
No.
I took some artistic liberty with
Good.
that quote.
That was good, Mars. You gave me chills.
I knew there was something in that house at that point and said, okay, I'm just looking. Looked at the rest of the house, but when I get to the attached garage, same message. You can't go in here. Needless to say, I did not.
Yeah.
I went back into the kitchen and said out loud, I'm just here to show the house. I don't want anything. I won't take anything.
Yes.
The presence was that strong. I knew someone was watching me. Since it was a snowy Sunday, of course, no one showed up.
This is a great setup for a horror movie.
Yes. So I sat with my back to the wall doing other paperwork the entire time. When I went to the bathroom, I just said, I'm just going to the bathroom. You don't have to follow me.
Yes, smart.
Whatever it was, and I would find out later, stayed with me the entire time. Never in my life have I felt anything so real. I didn't feel like it wanted to harm me at all. It was just there and creepy. When it came time to leave, I was out of there fast.
Yeah.
The next day, when I got to the office, I said to the listing agent, hey, did anyone recently die in that house? Yes, my sister-in-law in October. All I could say was, well, she's still there.
Oh.
Don't shit your pants. I almost did, Dawn. Oh my God, that gave me chills at the end. Oh my God. Yes, my sister did.
And she's still there. Wow.
Oh my God.
Especially to have it so so related to, like, I was thinking the whole time of like, oh, whoever owned it, well, which is the case, but like not a relative to the person that you're working for. Whoa.
So scary.
Oh.
But also, like, what's with the whole don't go in there stuff,
I wonder
too.
what that was all about. I wonder if when they sold it, like, have people been like, hey, actually, this, you know?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, or like, are people...
2009, if you are living in this house and some shit's going down, let us know.
Hey, let us know.
Let us know.
Tell us about something.
Tell us.
Wow.
Whoa, that was wild. Dawn. Okay.
Dawn.
I got one.
Okay.
Prankster premonitions.
Okay.
Hi, Betsy and Marcy. This is now my 3rd email. You just read about my time exploring Hocking Hills and then helped me manifest having a paranormal experience. Cry, laughing face.
Uh-oh.
Well, nothing has happened yet, ugh, but I have been having flashbacks of some weird things that I used to experience as a kid. We unlock that, this podcast unlocks those weird things where you're like, oh, I never really thought too much about it as a kid, but now.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I used to have very frequent and very vivid deja vu to the point where it was happening like every week. I also would have vivid dreams that I still remember to this day. I'm 35, so this was like well over 20 years ago.
Whoa.
So, to start things off, I have to give a little bit of a setup. When I was around preteen age, like 10, 12, I used to be a little bit of a prankster and would pull these pranks on strangers. I must have had such balls because I could not imagine doing anything like this now. LOL.
That's funny.
I remember this dream so well. I was at the store with a lot of aisles. I knew it wasn't a grocery store, but something else that was a big type of store. I'm with my family, but I break away from them to do some exploring on my own. Then, in my dream, I see this man. He's a very big guy, and I, stupidly, am like, yeah, I'm gonna mess with him. So I do, and I get caught, and I'm like, oh, shit! Again, this is all my dream. So I'm running through the store and he's chasing me and he's really angry. All I can think of is to find my family and leave. He doesn't catch me and I'm able to leave the store unharmed. Phew. I wake up and I'm like, wow, that was so crazy, but that would never happen in real life. Cut to, only a couple days later, my family is at Best Buy, so a big store, not a grocery store, but a lot of aisles. My parents, I think, were shopping for a new computer or something. This was either 2000 or 2001, so to me at least, a computer wasn't the most exciting thing. So I break away to go play with the display video games or listen to demo music. I don't remember. But you remember Best Buy around this time. It was like a playground for kids. Yes. God, it was awesome.
Just so many gadgets to pick up and try to figure out how to work.
And to just be like, whoa, it does sound like these headphones are so much better. Oh, I loved it so much.
I'm going to go look at all the TVs.
Yeah. Oh, my God. And be like, someday I'm going to have a TV like this. And even though I was probably 11, my parents were just like, yeah, go ahead. Just don't leave the store. Oh, yeah. That's it. So I'm walking around the store and my little prankster self comes out. As I'm looking at the CDs, there's this older guy further down the aisle, probably in his 20s. So what I would do, and I don't know why I got such a kick out of this, I would either like bump into people or accidentally knock something near them or something they were holding. This is before kids had any type of technology to keep them entertained. So you had to get creative. I would always get away with it too because no one ever paid attention to a child. And I would always act like, oops, didn't mean to, sorry. And this aisle is empty except for me and this guy. So I'm like, perfect. I make my way towards him and whoops, I bump into the basket he's holding. He gives me a puzzled look, but I just keep on walking as if nothing happened. Success! Ha ha! I go to another aisle and lo and behold, the same guy is there. Pressing my luck, I go do the same thing. Again, he gives me a look like, WTF is this kid doing? And I just play it off like, hey, I'm just a kid. I'm innocent. I came across him for a third time.
You menace.
Yeah, you're Dennis the Menace. This is Mr. Wilson.
This isn't a prank. This is harassment.
Yeah, this is. In my mind, I was like, no, I shouldn't do it again. That's a bad idea. But the devil in my shoulder was like, no, you should do it one more time. So I do. This time, the guy gets really angry. He grabs me and turns me around and says, kid, if you touch me again, I'll knock your block off. I immediately say, okay, and run off to where my parents were and try not to see that guy anymore. I nearly shit my pants. He didn't chase me around the store like in my dream, but I immediately have flashbacks of that dream, and I think to myself, oh, shit. This was my dream that I had. It was so eerie how all of the events matched up. I was so convinced that my dreams were now premonitions. I was also really into Charmed at the time, and every vivid dream I had after I took seriously. But no other dream came true that I can remember, which honestly I'm glad about because the dreams that I would remember were never positive experiences. Oh. I wish I could say that my pranking days were over after that, but I didn't learn my lesson. But what I did learn, never prank the same person twice. Smiling, crying, laughing face.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for my first ghost experience. My birthday's coming up and I live in Chicago and I'm considering doing a ghost tour because there are a lot of haunted places in this city. If anything happens, I of course will let you know. Or if I learn anything interesting, I'll let you know that too. As always, love your podcast. I don't love catching up on episodes because that means I have to wait for the next one. But I guess expecting you to do daily podcasts is a bit unreasonable. Until my next email, Kevin. Kevin. That is so funny.
That is so funny.
I shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna do this.
It's so funny that like so many premonitions are warnings, and it was like that.
Yes.
Your premonition was like, don't do this so
please
many times.
Don't. Please don't. That is so funny. I remember we would put like condoms in people's shopping carts and stuff. Thinking that was so funny.
How old were you doing this?
I feel probably like a teens, you know?
Yeah.
Just being like, whoa, condoms, dude. And then be like, let's drop them in people's shopping carts and they'll be so embarrassed.
I bet it worked. I bet it really did mortify people.
Yes, I'm sure it did.
Probably caused a divorce.
Oh, do you think?
Probably a bunch. People were like, wait, Randall, why do you have these condoms in your shopping cart
I
now?
like it raw.
Yeah, Randall, you know I'm a raw dogger.
You know I like raw dogging Randall. Maybe. Oh, no.
Raw dogging Randy.
If our condoms got anybody in trouble. I say this, and the truth is, probably did it one time, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe we did that. Okay, oh my god,
it just stuck with you though, because it was such a bad thing
We're
to
so
do.
bad, dude. We're so bad.
We're bad kids.
We're bad.
All right, I'm going to play another listener story.
Yes.
If I can hit the play button.
Come on, hit that play button.
Hi, Marcy and Betsy. This is Rachel. I've sent in a couple stories, but I know y'all need more. And last night I was hanging out with my parents and asked them to remind me of a few of theirs.
Yeah.
So here are a few spooky stories from my dad.
Yeah.
So we grew up in Oxford, Ohio, where Miami University is. It was before the Miami, Florida, but that is what it's called. And there's one building, it was like a student hall. It was called Peabody Hall. And there's always been spooky stories about Peabody Hall. One of them, I don't know all the details, but apparently there was like a door with a bloody handprint on it. And no matter how many times they would paint over it, the handprint would always show. So anyway, when my dad was a teenager, in like the early 70s, he and some of his friends decided to break into Peabody Hall. It was closed down at the time, not functioning. So of course, what else are a bunch of teenage boys going to do? So they were in there just kind of, messing around, looking for ghosts and stuff. There were all the rumors that it was haunted, so they wanted to see what they could get into. And at one point, they were all in one room and they heard footsteps coming up the stairs. So they kind of freaked out and just kind of froze in this room. And they were standing in there and they said the footsteps just kept coming and coming and coming. And after a little bit, they were like, well, I guess it's not the cops, because the cops would have been here by now. But they said they just heard these footsteps, and they were kind of like never ending until they finally did stop, but there was never anybody around. They went out and looked, couldn't see anybody. So they continued to look around, and they went into another room, and apparently all of a sudden one of the guys kind of like flew back a couple feet against the wall, like back to the wall, and then slid down to the ground. He was sitting, but with his back up against the wall. And then all of a sudden started banging his head on the tile floor over and over and over. And my dad said they all just kind of froze and looked at him. And then after a little bit, he stopped and looked up at them and was just kind of like, what are you guys looking at? Had no idea what just happened. So I did ask my dad if, maybe they had been partaking in anything that would cause this. And, maybe some herbs, but nothing that would cause someone to behave in that manner. So I guess after that happened, they got the hell out of there. Another story that also is about Oxford, Ohio, is that there was, like many small towns have, I've heard this being like a urban legend, a light. If you go and park out on this road, you're going to see this light coming at you. And we have one of those roads, so it's a pretty hilly road. And my dad had seen it multiple times. In fact, when I was a kid, he used to try to take my sister and I out there. I never wanted to go and would freak out and be like, nope, absolutely not. I'll stay home with mom. But once when he was younger, he and some friends went out to the light, turned their car off. We're waiting. The light showed up. It's a really hilly road, so you kind of see it coming up each hill, and then it kind of disappears below it. But they stayed to see what would happen, and he said it came, maybe I don't know, yards or feet, but it was fairly close to them. He said it was about 3 feet around. It was just this massive light. And I asked him, like, was it translucent? Was it like the sun? He said it was kind of like a headlight, but massive. And when it got that close, they decided to turn on the car and get the hell out of there. So he says he's a pretty skeptical guy. He says he cannot figure out what that is. He's tried to think about it. Some people say, the farmer that lives nearby rigs this up, but I can't quite imagine how he would do that or why he would want to do that to kind of encourage teens to come out. But yeah, those are a couple spooky stories about Oxford, Ohio. So I'm going to send another note with some spooky stories from my mom. But thank you guys for all you do. Love you both and everything you do.
Woo, bye. Those are fun.
I mean, please get all the relatives in your family, scoop all their stories up and send them to us.
I hope it's a farmer doing that every night.
Well, here's the thing. It made me think, like, farmers put out scarecrows. So
right.
To like, scare crows away. So maybe they think this will scare some of the people away.
Maybe.
I don't know.
That's so. Oh, and Peabody. That sounds spooky.
Yeah. Dad was out here in the streets just being a little rascal.
That's
oh my God.
Fun.
And yeah, like I guess anything could happen, but to have like a reaction to weed where you just like start violently hurting yourself.
Yeah.
It feels like something you don't hear. Like I said, anyone can have a reaction to anything depending on like what's going on with their own body chemistry, but I haven't heard of that.
Right.
And the weed back then used to be way weaker, apparently.
But also it could have been laced with something. That happened a lot,
That's true.
But, but I mean, just the vibes. It could have also been like, hey, a little bit of weed and a malicious thing. Okay, here we go. A little spooky cocktail.
And we've said it's, sometimes like how you, like the idea of high, kind of like, sometimes you get a body high where it feels like you're almost like barely in your body. Maybe you left a little room.
Right.
For something to try to get in.
Wow.
What are you looking at, Betsy?
Sorry,
Someone come in.
Wilma just
Wilma.
She's just looking at me being like, what are you doing?
It's
Why do
almost
you
like
do this a lot?
we should film like the room too, so you could see how many times my cats start fighting, and that there's nothing I can do
There's
about
nothing.
it. Like
We're professionals, so
we're
we
professionals.
keep recording no matter
We
what.
keep recording. Like moments ago, Honey was like just walking behind my computer, but like being like, "Don't look at me! Don't look at me! Don't look at me! Don't look at me! Don't look at me!" Because she's scared of me. But I'm like, you're 16 inches from me.
Come on,
Come on, let me touch you. Finally, come on. I love this spooky dad story though.
Yes.
For
Really
being
great.
a bad boy. Let's see. I could do one more email. How about that?
Great.
We'll do one more email.
Okay, great.
And this one is titled Soul Family.
Oh.
Soul Train. All right. Hello again. I hope you two are well. I have another story to share.
Yes.
Trigger warning, pregnancy loss.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for that.
I had a dream that my paternal grandma, who died several years ago, was laying in a hospital bed. The bed and the whole room were bright white. Everything was white and glowing. I knew she had died and was happy to see her in my dream. My grandpa was sitting behind me in the corner reading a newspaper. He didn't appear to hear or see me or my grandma. My grandma told me that she had a baby boy but lost him when he was born too early. In real life, we never knew of any lost baby, so this was a surprise to me, but at the same time, I could see them keeping it a secret because at that time, people didn't often talk about such things. I held her hand and asked if she got to hold him before they took him away. I knew that back in the 1950s, medical staff usually hid the stillborn babies away, not letting the parents see or hold them, which is tragic. My grandma patted my hand and didn't answer me, which made me think she did not get to hold him. She showed me the baby's birth certificate, and I could see that his name had been Luke or Lucas. Again, my grandpa was behind me and didn't seem to know we were there. In real life, my grandpa was alive at the time of my dream, and it's my theory that he couldn't see us because he was on a different spiritual plane than us. My grandma said she wanted to tell me about the baby so that I knew he existed. The next morning, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I opened up social media on my phone, and the first thing I saw was a post about it being the first day of Infant and Pregnancy Loss Awareness Month.
Whoa.
The caption talked about not only the parents grieving the loss, but also the family and friends that the baby would have had. I felt like this was such a sign that this baby, who would have been my uncle, did exist and that my dream was a visit from my grandma.
Yeah.
I did ask my dad if he knew anything about it, and after consulting his sister, he said they weren't aware of any such thing. A few months later, I talked with a medium, and she told me my grandma had a miscarriage but hadn't known she was pregnant until she was losing him.
Oh.
The medium said my grandma wanted me to know about this baby and that it was an experience she shared with me. In my early 20s and again in my late 20s, I suspected I had a miscarriage but hadn't had it confirmed with a doctor, so I'll never know for sure.
Oh.
It would have been a very early loss. The medium said sometimes a soul wants to join a family, but they aren't ready, or the timing isn't quite right, and it ends with a miscarriage. She said it could have been the same soul that had wanted to be part of my grandma's family and that then wanted to be a part of my family. I think about this dream often. The night I had this dream, I was supposed to have attended a guided meditation event to connect with deceased loved ones, but I had to cancel due to a schedule conflict. I had been hoping to connect with my grandma, and it seems she found a way to communicate with me anyway.
Yes.
The timing of the Infant and Pregnancy Loss Remembrance Day seems significant too. Thanks for listening to my story. What do you think, Tonya? Whoa.
Absolutely a visit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just all of those things falling in place is so wild. Of like,
yeah. Yeah.
And it would make
and like
sense.
that you were going to do the
Go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
That you were going to do the guided meditation, decided not to, and it was like, well, someone wanted to come through anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it wouldn't, I feel it would make sense of, especially like in the 50s and stuff. I mean, our parents, I don't know about, I'll speak on my side, my family. I don't know anything about them. They were not telling my parents anything going on.
Yeah.
It was,
and also you don't tell kids that kind of stuff too sometimes, you know?
Right. Like, it makes sense that they, especially then with the more you learn from the medium of like, the medium saying that like she didn't even realize she was pregnant until where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, you probably wouldn't tell your kids that then or something, or
Yeah. Especially if you're like not 100% sure of what it was, like if they aren't doing like, ultrasounds to see like what happened. And I've heard this, like I said, this is a sensitive topic, but I've heard this from reading books like psychics or even like hearing them on podcasts and stuff. Like I think it was Psychic Teachers where she talked about it, but that sometimes it is, even in the case of abortions too, where the woman is not yet ready for a child, that like it's the soul, like the soul gets that. The soul's like, one of us isn't ready
yet.
We're not ready for this.
Okay.
And it's not like a good, bad, moral. It's just like the timing is not right right now. And so like, and because so many people blame themselves for all these things, but it's like when they're supposed to come, they come.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't come with that person. Maybe they come later in the lineage, or maybe they go, but it is sort of like being like, I just don't think the timing is right.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that makes people feel better or worse, but because like I said, there is so much guilt around it. But the idea that like the soul will get here when it's ready to get here. And so, it still is like the loss of like what the potential could be, but they'll come when it's time too.
Wow. I've never thought of that. And that's really, I like that.
Yeah. Cause people feel so bad about it. And it is, well, it makes sense to grieve it, but also I think some women especially will blame themselves for a loss, and that, I think it's more like, the soul's choice of when it's, because, you've heard about the whole like contract that like when you sign the contract, how you're coming and when you're going, even if we don't remember it in these bodies.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like the dates are there and you can fudge them a little bit, but they're kind of like,
they're there.
Your soul has a plan of what it's trying to do in this life.
Okay.
Mine's trying to chill.
Yeah, I just want to chill.
But I do love that, that it was like, I want to be known to you.
Yes.
So
yeah,
I made sure.
Oh,
very nice.
Wow.
Yeah. You got to go to your guided meditations, guys.
Well, hey.
Or don't.
They'll find you. They'll
find you.
They'll talk to you. They'll talk to you in some way.
Hell yeah, they'll get you. They'll get you. Man, these were some really good familial stories happening today, right?
Yeah. Fun. A lot of good dreams.
Even starting with you, Betsy.
I know. Well, Ghostlight has nothing to do with the Sidaros, but we'll see.
Well, it happened in your family, though. We're talking family stories. Like these people are telling their family stories, and you've got to tell your sisters, and we're still going to have her come on.
She's coming on. She's coming on the podcast. It's going to be good.
Guys, keep sending in your stories. Send them to us. You got to send them to us at funnyfeelingpod@gmail.com.
Woo! Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for listening to A Funny Feeling.
If you have a paranormal experience that you would like to share, please send us a voice memo, or you can email us just a letter at funnyfeelingpod@gmail.com. I'm Marcy.
I'm Betsy. And don't shit your pants.